BowTie Barbecue has always been a work of passion. It takes time, skill, and a blend of perfect temperature, wood, smoke, and meats. We just took it up a notch. Taste the passion. BowTie Barbecue, 6724 Waters Avenue, Savannah.
Show once again coming to you live from BowTie Barbecue on Waters, just up from the corner of Waters and Eisenhower every Thursday at noon. We're talking BC football with the head coach of the Cadets coming off the off week, and they get ready for New Hampstead coming up on Friday night. It will be at Memorial Stadium. Again, like and subscribe. Watch BC Sports there on YouTube, and you'll get notified every time we go live, either here for the Danny Britt Show or tomorrow night's game there from Memorial Stadium. Coach Britt, before we get started, I know the off week last week and towards the end of the week, unfortunate news with one of your coaches, Coach Charlie Jung, passing away. And I just wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about him and just obviously the loss within the BC program.
Yeah, it was very unfortunate. Coach Jung had some health issues and had missed a little bit of time because of some gallstones and was getting that taken care of, but unfortunately passed away this past week, and very sad. Coach Jung is the type of guy that did everything for everybody, and it was actually amazing at his funeral, and people that were talking, and all of them, they gave what I hope people do for me when it's my time is that, don't BS it, be real, Britt could be mean or whatever, at the time. But everybody said that, sometimes he'd be ornery, but he would do anything for everybody. And boy, he poured into the kids and did everything for them. And so he's going to be very much missed. He's been a part of it for since I've been here for 13 years. I
was going to say a part of the program with you, but a part of just the Savannah landscape and working with kids and the number of young men just in your program that he's had an opportunity to mentor and deal with. And I was reading some of the comments from your former players, and you're like, the amount of, guidance and other things that he put on their lives is just incredible.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, the kids realized that and saw that he would do things for them. I mean, he did things like this. Every day he would bring lemons and cut them up for those guys who just like to suck on a lemon before they go out to practice. I don't, but he did, and some of the kids enjoyed it. He would collect pickle juice because that's good for cramping. The kids enjoyed it. They called it junk juice, And,
yeah.
And he would always have bubble gum. He would have candy for different people. Always for any lady that came up, she was going to get special treatment. So he's going to be missed. Gosh, there's so much about his life that he did a lot of things. He was in the military. He was in the Air National Guard. He was a firefighter, retired from the firefighting community. It just did, and then spent 20 years plus with Benediction. So just did so many things across the table and served the entire time.
And again, I know he will be certainly missed inside that program, inside your program here moving forward. And the off week, as we move back towards football, you kind of said, look, the off week is for us to clean up some things. You played a couple of high-profile football games there before the break to kind of say, hey, we want to play these teams to see where we're weak, where you're going to get exposed, and then we can clean those things up.
Right.
Use off week to do that. Where do you feel you were last week going into that off week? Did you get the opportunity to address some of those things?
We did. We were able to address some small things without, again, as I said last week, you go into off weeks differently every time. It's according to where your team's at. And that's part of being a head coach, is being able to feel that and realize where you're at. Where we were at this time, we felt like we were tired and we were beat up a little bit. We traveled. We played some really good competition. We pushed them really hard all the way back since May. So we felt like we needed a break, but at the same time, fix those things. So we got with our, each individual coach of each special teams, of each, position, and said, okay, think of the things you want to work on. Let's make sure we get that taken care of. We have some individual time. We have some specific time with special teams, different things that we correct those things. And we felt like we were able to do that without working them to death, if you know what I mean, and also giving them a break. So we feel pretty good about that. And hopefully it shows, and we, those detail-oriented things improve.
And it seems like at the break, you said, hey, it came at a good time right in the middle of the year, but one thing I haven't heard a lot of, maybe you're a tired team, maybe you're a beat up team, but you weren't an injured team,
Right.
which a lot of times, depending on where you get that off week, you hear coaches say, hey, it was good because we got guys that just
Right.
need to not do football for a week. Is that kind of the case where you're maybe tired and beat up but weren't injured?
Yeah. Fortunately, we weren't, very injured. But we had kids that were still playing. But you can be beat up and not necessarily, it's the running joke in football is you're only 100% until the first day of practice, and you're never 100% again because
Right.
there's always something nagging. This physical sport is going to do that. So we were that, and hopefully we were able to kind of heal up on a number of those.
All right, so you kind of break routine a little bit. You said, hey, I want to get away, let the kids, we're going to take it light. How do you snap back into that routine this week, and how's that been kind of do you have to refocus after an off week, or, how does that kind of work usually?
You definitely have to refocus, and it was, it came rolling back in Monday, and it was a little hard. It was different because Coach Young had passed, and he wasn't there, and it was, you could feel it, in the air, and quite honestly, I didn't want to yelling and screaming, and really, because everybody was feeling. I was feeling it. I was, down. To be honest with you. And then Tuesday we had the funeral, and we had to push the practice back to 5 o'clock, and at that point, we hit the music again, and I told the guys, I said, here's when I was sitting in the service thinking, okay, if it were switch, if that were me, what would I want the team to do? I'd want them to go out there and have fun playing the game of football and do it the right way. And I'm sure Coach Young was the same way. So that's how we do it. So we're back to who we are. And we started yelling and screaming and pushing and, all the things that you're supposed to do. So I really hope we've refocused. It felt that way yesterday. Had a very good practice yesterday, very clean, crisp practice. And hopefully we'll do that again today and refocus back in on what we want to do.
And before we start in on New Hampstead there, Coach, how do you kind of view this? Are you starting the season over? Is it, hey, we played, I know certain coaches say, hey, we got 3 seasons. We got the non-region, the region, and the postseason, depending on how you view it. How do you kind of view this now? Because New Hampstead is a region game. Or do you view it as, hey, look, it's just the next football game up? Do you kind of mentally break that up on the schedule?
No, we really, I guess we could talk about it that way some, but no, for the most part, we don't. Each week is a new week, and we pretty much treat them all the same. Every game is the same, and we're going to Monday and Tuesday, they're all going to look the same way, and we're going to prepare the same way, and what we feel like is best way to prepare. So really, no, it's just the next week with the understanding that, we needed that break, and, that was the start of the season, and we're moving into the meat of the season now with the region schedule.
And again, so you come back, you've got New Hampstead on the schedule. I know you don't do a lot of scouting, but before we talk about them specifically, how do you feel after 5 weeks, your region kind of looks as far as the folks playing football in there?
Yeah, it's a very good region, and we were talking earlier. We've got a number of the teams ranked in the top 25 in the state at any classification, ranked in the top 10 in 4A. So it's going to be a tough road. Very good region, starting with New Hampstead, who's Coach Hockman does a great job. They have talent, and they play some really good teams, and then you go to Burke, which is he's undefeated. He's doing a great job. Frank does a great job, and that's always a very athletic, competitive game, especially when you have to go there. Wayne is got the Fuller kid who's unbelievable, and I know Coach Shaw does a great job. Southeast Bullock, so it's a tough road, and we know that, and we're ready to run it. And I feel like that first 5 weeks prepared us for it.
You think most people don't appreciate maybe how good some of these teams are, just because at certain points you've had your way with some of them, but they are very, very good?
I think I know that's the case, because I've been talking to people, and they start asking me to prepare for first playoff game. I'm like, guys, y'all don't understand. These teams are really good. They're ranked in the top 10 for a reason, and they're really good. And we got to focus on that and worry about nothing but those teams. And right now it's New Hampstead.
And we'll step aside quickly and come back, and we will talk about New Hampstead coming up tomorrow night at the stadium. 7:30 kickoff. This is the Danny Britt Show right here from BowTie Barbecue on the corners, right near the corner of Waters and Eisenhower on Waters. We're here every Thursday at 12 noon talking football with the head coach of the Benedictine Cadets. We'll be back in just a moment, and we'll talk about New Hampstead right here on the Danny Britt Show.
BowTie Barbecue has always been a work of passion. It takes time, skill, and a blend of perfect temperature and wood smoke and meats. We just took it up a notch. Taste the passion. BowTie Barbecue, 6724 Waters Avenue, Savannah.
When it comes to blocking all the obstacles that life throws your way, let Vernon Williams and Auto Owners Insurance help you dodge the hits, analyze the playing field, and run the ball all the way home. We shield you so you can have peace of mind when it comes to auto, home, life, or business insurance. As one of the oldest and most respected independent insurance agencies in the Southeast, we know what it means to stand behind the people we protect head on. We also know that every play needs a plan. And if you're running with the best of them, you need the experience of a company that's been around since 1934. Vernon Williams and Auto Owners Insurance proudly support our players and coaches because we know what it takes to build a winning team that you can count on when the game gets rough. Vernon Williams Insurance and Financial Services. Trust in the power of the Shield since 1934. For more information, go to thepoweroftheshield.com.
Here to BowTie Barbecue and the Danny Britt Show as we get ready for New Hampstead coming up on Friday. And Coach, before we go any further, I know you've got some message you'd like to share with the fans out there.
Yeah, definitely. As every week, the Scouting Report is sponsored by Abel's Iron On and More. Abel's Iron On and More and Associates would like to welcome back all the alumni who will be attending this week's game. Whether you visit occasionally or are fortunate enough to be around BC regularly, we consider ourselves a family, and homecoming week serves as a powerful reminder of that bond.
It is homecoming week. It is New Hampstead. I know I talked to a lot of coaches in the past. Homecoming is their favorite week of the year. I say that jokingly,
right?
Because there's so much going on, and BC's no different. But you have a football game to get prepared for. How has that aspect of it been? I know homecoming with BC, you have alumni going way back that'll come and watch the football game. How is preparing this week for homecoming kind of played into it?
You know, at most schools I've been at before, I would say you give up 3 points at least, maybe 7 for being homecoming, because you just so much is going on that distracts the kids. I will say at BC it really isn't as much, because I think because it's just all male, high school only, there's just not as much, into it. Now they dress down a little bit, but that really shouldn't affect their focus at practice and that sort of thing. So I think it's good. I like it because we should have a big crowd and a lot of alumni back, and that's important for these guys to show out in front of the alumni.
You've got New Hampstead coming in. Of course, their quarterback a season ago, Paulie Seeley, moves on to, I believe, Wofford is where he ended up going to play ball. So Coach Hockman, obviously, he wants to have a quarterback that can do some things. And what is he looking like there at the quarterback spot, and what kind of challenges are you facing for them offensively?
Yeah, definitely got a good quarterback that played at Callan Boys Club. I've seen him play since he was a young kid, and Rashawn Truel. And big kid, 6 foot 210, and he throws the ball very well. Does not go down easily when on a sack, and not really looking to run it much. Just more of the passer, and does a good job. And of course, Coach Hockman does a great job of coaching him.
And again, offensively, they kind of run that spread offense, but from a shotgun. But looking at your scouting report, they've always had a nice-looking offensive line, but it looks like for a high school bunch, this is another pretty good, solid offensive line. Right. I think the smallest guy is still over 250, and most of them are up there. So just maybe one of the bigger offensive lines you'll see.
Definitely, and we've seen some big ones, certainly, and but they're a big group, and the offensive line is good. They do a good job of using their size and their wingspan, and so it's a good group. We're going to have to really, really work hard to be effective with the defensive linemen, and but they do a good job with it.
How would you say? Because on paper, I guess it kind of looks, if you just look at the base formation, a little bit like where is it? Are they similar in things they're trying to accomplish, or is it just similar in look only?
No, it's similar. It's the same type of thing, running the inside and outside zones, and then they run the true spread, and then they'll come in. They have a big tight end H-back guy number 88 that's just a tall, rangy, good player who will go into that H-back spot and they'll run a bunch of power and counters and that sort of thing. So, similar type of look that we've seen from Ware County and a number of other people.
Defensively, what do they bring to the table for you as far as that look?
Yeah, they have some very good players that they're going to be in both. Again, and I say this every week, they're going to be an odd and an even front, which is kind of the way things are. They will run some cover 3, some man, and a little bit of cover 2. So you're going to see a little bit of all of it, and they run to the ball well, and they have good speed to make things happen.
And that's been one of those programs. They haven't been around very long, but Coach Hockman's been there. It seems like they've become a very steady program. I know they had a bunch of coaches kind of rotating, and it's hard to build some of that, some footing. But it seems like since Coach Hockman's been there, they've kind of found some of that and are developing themselves into a very solid program.
They are. He's done a good job and continues to do things well. And, they continue to push and get good kids in and good coaches. And Coach Hockman, obviously he's done it for a long time.
You look at their scores so far, and for whatever story that tells, they won their first 2 games, played Camden, which is a big step up for anybody going from 4A up there to 7A. And then last week, a very close game with Richmond Hill. What have you been able to see on tape from them about, what's going to take to beat them? Yeah,
it's going to take 4 quarters. They're going to continue to fight. They can score quickly, have tall, rangy receivers that can, make things happen. So, they're not going to go down. They're going to keep fighting just like against Richmond Hill, turn into an overtime type game. And, we're going to have to really do well in the special teams area and win that advantage in that area, and then be able to, continue to be consistent in what we do and hopefully can pull away and win it that way.
I know offensively you say, hey, the defense just kind of dictates what we want to do. We're still going to run our offense. And is that really kind of the case where you say, hey, we've seen kind of, I think Paul Johnson famously said, look, I've seen everything under the sun. You're just telling me what I need to run.
Right.
Basically, is that kind of how you approach it?
That pretty much. And Coach Phillips does a really good job of that and looks at it. First you look at scheme and what they're doing and where the bubbles are in the scheme, and then you look at personnel, your personnel versus their personnel, and where that matches up in your favor. He does that, and then if what we found pretty much every week is when teams play us, it's a little bit different. They do something a little different, so we just have had to learn to adjust on the fly, and Coach House and Coach Phillips have done a really good job of that.
And it seems like coaches say that, especially when you've had this kind of success that y'all have had, like, hey, we're going to get everybody's best effort. Right. Is that kind of what you found to be the case?
Definitely. I mean, it's going to be that way. And everybody, this is, if they could upset us, it's going to be the biggest game of the year. And we know that. And so the kids need to know that, and we're going to get our best effort, and they're going to do things, whatever it is, different to try to make that happen. And, so we just have to be prepared for that and be ready to fight.
And again, New Hampstead coming in, they're going to be at Memorial Stadium. And again, you kind of had a weird schedule here, 3 road games, 3 home games here, Coach. And so then you become road warriors again after this week. But homecoming for you. What does that mean just to the team? I know everybody's like, hey, we want to win homecoming. But what does that mean when you see that on the schedule, if anything?
I don't know that it means a ton as far as how they prepare, how they play, but we do know it is important because we want to make sure that we make our alumni proud, and there will be a lot of alumni back at Benedictine. That's a very, very special thing and a very important thing, so we want to make sure that we're making them proud. The kids know that and continue to talk about that. So it is a little added pressure, I guess, to go out and perform well.
Coach, with your players, so we talked with Luke and Bryce Baker last week in the off week. Do those guys, and for folks who don't really follow the recruiting game, what is that like for those guys when you have an off week? Are colleges trying to get them to schedule visits, or do you how do you kind of treat that in the middle of a season? Do most coaches say later in the season? How does that kind of work from your standpoint?
No, I think, yes, they do. They'll try, hey, when's your off week, if it can tie into them, being able to travel to the games. I think Luke, as far as Florida State, has kind of said, hey, he's done so much with them. I think he's kind of took some time and said, hey, I want to focus in on Benedictine. And then I know his family went up to see his brother Mac play up in Massachusetts. So, yeah, I don't know if Bryce went to a game or not. I didn't even ask him. I went out of town. We kind of all just scattered and enjoyed just getting away and kind of not talking ball a little bit. Although with Coach Jones passing, it made us kind of want to come together, and at least spend some time. But yeah, so I don't even really know what a lot of them did.
But something you talked about, when we asked Luke last week about that, I thought it was very mature answer. He said, "Look, right now I'm focused on BC, and I've kind of told everybody." Daddy goes, "I've told the coaches, look, my most important thing is BC, and I think in today's day and age, when everybody's got a hype video and all of that, it's very easy to get caught up in all of that and what's coming down the road." But he's like, "Look, no, I've told them, look, I'm focused on going." The next week, win, and we've got goals we want to accomplish here at the high school level.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he told me that. I brought him in. We were just talking to him about goals, and like you want to talk to your starting quarterback and as a head coach, and he said that. He said, I'm really enjoying that, and he deserves that. He needs to sit here, enjoy this time that he gets with his high school team. Listen, it'll never be like it again.
Right.
I can know from my son, DeMarcus Dobbs, who played at Georgia, played in the NFL, that high school atmosphere, there's nothing like it ever. You go, Luke's going to have an incredible time. I think he's going to go be a stud at Florida State. I think he'll have a chance to play in the NFL. But that doesn't, again, it will be different. That will be a business. Both of them will be a business. Right now, he's having fun with his brothers, and he deserves to do that, as all the other kids do.
And just while we're talking about it, how much do you get contacted by coaches along the recruiting front? Not necessarily for Luke, but for anybody on the team. Do you get contacted by guys who go say, "Hey, coach, I caught the last 2 weeks a film, so and so looks pretty good," or are they reaching out to you first? How's that process kind of go?
Yeah, definitely. We have some. Certainly those with offers that they're trying to get them to commit, and they're just saying, "Hey, where are we at?" and those sort of things. I know Bryce is one of those. So they will reach out to me. It's not as much this time of year because they're focused in on their team and trying to win right now, and they know that we are too. So it's not nearly as much now that it will be toward the end of the year. When hopefully we're still playing in the playoffs, and a lot of those are either done or between bowl, regular season and bowl season and all those things, and it kind of blows up then, and of course in January and February. Gets crazy.
And I would expect, given the seniors on this team, you've gotten quite a few guys that you're going to be talking about come February or early signing period, December, what have you. But sure. I know you guys usually do the ceremony in February. Right.
And yeah, we will. We'll have a number of guys that are signing, and I'm excited for that. I haven't even, I thought about that the other day. I got to talk to Luke and see. I know he's going to be gone, but he may say, "Hey, I want to come back and sign with everybody in February," and come back from Tallahassee and be here. Whatever they want to do, we'll certainly accommodate.
That seems like another big thing in high school where a lot of guys want to graduate early or get out of that semester early. Is that a good thing in your estimation, or it has to be the right kid to do it? I know a lot of kids try to do it now, seemingly just finish high school and then jump right in.
I think with a quarterback, you kind of have to. These Division I quarterbacks, it's expected for them to do that, and so they know that. I mean, we've already met with Stephen Cannon and told him, hey, that you need to prepare. He's met with he and his parents have met with our counselors and make sure he can do that. For the others, I'm like, well, why don't you stay and enjoy your spring of your senior year and play spring sport and all those things. And but I understand if that college is really pushing that, then that's what they need to do.
It's the Danny Britt Show coming to you here from BowTie Barbecue on Waters Avenue, just up from the corner of Waters and Eisenhower. New Hampstead coming in, and the Phoenix 2-2 on the season, and the Benedictine Cadets 5-0 on the young season. Obviously, hot start would be nice. Tomorrow, you mentioned the special teams game. What have you kind of worked on there? I know Connor's had some ups and downs. You've said, hey, admittedly, we haven't always given him the best situation from a field goal standpoint, but this was a kid that had never punted, if I remember our conversation correctly. You said, hey, you got to do that too. Now, you haven't had to punt a whole lot, but how has he kind of handled that? How did he handle the off week, kind of cleaning up some of those things?
Yeah, we definitely need to clean up some things. He's done a very good job in the punting area, and We've got to work on covering a little bit. We worked on that and making sure we got the right people there so that we can cover a little better. But he's punted very well. Earlier in the year, we tried some extremely long field goals because in high school, again, if you can kick a 50-yard field goal, and with him, you got a shot. And as long as it goes into the end zone, it comes back out to the 20, unlike college and pro where it comes back to the spot. So I'm like, why not give it a shot? Worth some points, and you feel pretty good about Connor having that chance. What we talked about with him is we'll probably start. We're going to have a range that he feels comfortable at, legitimately comfortable, and we're going to kick the field goals from there, and we will kill punt at the other areas or go for it, whatever we feel like we need to do in those other areas, and not just try these ridiculous long field goals anymore. And that'll help his momentum and his confidence, I understand. Right. It was also some mechanical stuff between the snapper and the holder. Our snapper sometimes can knuckle it back there a little bit. Cole Walker, very good player, very good snapper. Sometimes it knuckles. We're working on getting that out of there. Houston, a couple times, kind of pinned it against the ground, told him he's got to catch it. And, those things we worked on. So feel good about, what we're doing with Connor. And he's got extremely, he's a very good kicker, very talented kid. Done an incredible job, too, in the kickoff area. I should have looked. I haven't looked, but he has, a very high percentage of touchbacks. So very proud of him there, too.
I was going to say it just from off the top of my head recollection. I don't think it's been more than maybe one return a game, and some of those might have been when y'all kick short on purpose or something like that. But how does that conversation go? Because I would imagine that if I was in your shoes, I'd be like, hey, I got a kid that can kick it 60 yards. I've seen him do it. Right. How do you have that conversation where he can do it, but maybe he shouldn't, just because it's obviously different kicking it in warm-up versus a game? Like, how does that kind of balance with, hey, he can hit it this far, but maybe we shouldn't go for it, or we shouldn't try to kick it that far?
All right, so I've been doing this for 27 years, and you're talking about dealing with kickers.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's like you might as well ask me, how do you keep your daughters and your wife happy? I don't know, man. I just try real hard. How about that? Because sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. With him, I feel like because we didn't get the short opportunities,
right? And
it just kept being long ones. I feel like maybe I messed with his psyche a little bit. That's what I don't want to do. So I'm going to have to just kind of play that by ear. And if that's what it comes down to kick a long field goal, he can do it.
Right.
I mean, he can literally hit a 60-yarder. So we'll try it. But if it's in the flow of a game and it's those type of decisions, I will try to, give him a little better opportunity than the 60-yarder, if that makes sense.
Oh, I understand. Yeah.
And that's the way the conversation went. And, yes, sir, I understand. And, but again, my best friend and roommate at Georgia Southern was a kicker, Reed Haley, All-American kicker, incredible guy, incredible kicker. But I was, darn kickers. That's what we'd always say, because you never know, where their emotions are.
Whichever way the wind blows.
Right, exactly.
Quite literally, as far as that goes. It's New Hampstead tomorrow night at Memorial Stadium. It is homecoming. Get there early. As always, BC wins the tailgate every week. That is undefeated as well.
That's right.
Out there getting ready for the big one tomorrow for Coach Danny Britt. I am Kevin Thomas. If you missed any portion of the show, you can go to watchbcsports.com, go to our YouTube channel, like and subscribe, and you'll get that notification every time we're sitting down with Coach Britt. Or you can go back and watch it later if you weren't able to join us every Thursday at noon right here at BowTie Barbecue for the Danny Britt Show. We'll see you tomorrow for BC and New Hampstead.